scripted in a certain sense. And then you have to put in the work and apply yourself. What's the scripture in the Bible that talks about that work without what? Faith without. Right. Okay, I'm no preacher, but I got some basics. Pastor helping me out. So I encourage you and anybody who's under my voice and who's listening to me on television or what have we, make that effort. That effort in life, you just never know what's around the corner. At the time when the little boy was swimming, there was no such thing as a DVD or a video. That wasn't invented yet. All those things came in the future. The little boy went on, graduated from college, became a renowned swimming instructor, teaching all over the world. He was selling bottles for 5 cents. And then he ended up selling videos for 19 what? 99. Got to get that 99, that 4 cents. Okay? 5 cents. 19.99. Of course, they sell for a lot more money now, and millions of them have sold. Don't do the math, but millions of them have sold around the world. Just by, and mom did not know when she was telling him to pay his own way that she was developing a work ethic. She didn't know that. She was just saying, I'm not paying it. I don't have that kind of money. But all those things worked out by not being given everything. All of us come from different walks of life. Some of us may be born into privilege and some of us may not. But I can tell you one thing, you don't control the situation that you're born into. Not one person in here control who they were born to, where they were born, who their parents were. Not one person on the planet Earth. So you deal with the circumstances in front of you. Now, we all have one thing equal. I would say, I've moved through life since the little boy. Of course, y'all know that was me when I was slim, right? But I moved through life in a lot of things, and I've learned a lot of things over the years. But one of the things I really captured in college and along the way was that all of us have the same amount of time in a day. Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Barack Obama, the pastor, everybody here's got their 24 hours. Nobody get 26 hours in a day, nobody get 28, nobody get 22, nobody gets 7. We all get that equal, regardless of race, creed, color, religion. You get that 24 and what you do with it. You're going to see all of this in the future. I don't know if all of you are going to college. You don't have to go to college, but whatever your future entails, you're going to see how you use your 24 hours and how other people. And you're already seeing that in elementary school. You saw that in middle school, that people wasted. And then now you're here. Everybody's not wearing a cap and gown. Some people didn't make it. Those who didn't make it yet, I encourage you, don't stop. There's a Chinese proverb that slow and steady wins the race. So you don't always have to be first, but be slow and steady, but get to the finish line in anything in life. I'm talking graduation, I'm talking your job, I'm talking how people perceive you, I'm talking how you're going to be represented. When you leave out here, you represent St. John. You are St. John Missionary Church of Fort Myers First Baptist, blah, blah, blah. St. John First Missionary Baptist Church, Fort Myers product. You're going to represent that. Okay. Another thing I want you to remember is Malcolm X, the great, fiery Muslim, Nation of Islam, all of that you've come to know. He said these words, and I never forgot them. He said, the last thing you want to be perceived as is being unintelligent. Just think about that. People can perceive you and think about you or anything else, but you don't want them to ever say that you are not intelligent. That will take you many places. Now, I've been able to go around the world. I've been to places that my parents and relatives would never have dreamed. I've traveled the world, done a million things, but that's not what this is about. But while I was that little boy, my mom kept us in church. Good basic values. learning the fundamentals of the 10 Commandments and doing unto others. And that is a solid foundation that you'll take with you forever. Don't ever forget that. Now I have a little scenario for you and everybody in the church. You guys saw up there where they say, hey, who's a bank vice? Well, I'm a former bank senior vice president at Wells Fargo Bank. That's another story. But I had three things, main things I did in life: the TV, the radio, the swimming, and the banking thing. But I have a question for you. If I were to take you in the bank and open up the vault, and in that vault is all of these gold bricks in the vault, and I tell you we got an infinite amount of gold bricks in the vault, and you can get as many gold bricks as you want. You got 8 hours. Here's your wheelbarrow. We got a truck out there for you. Take that wheelbarrow, go in that vault, and get all the gold bricks you can get within 8 hours. Just get them, load them up, lay them up. Each brick is worth $1 million. Y'all follow me so far? All right. So, my question to you, when you got 8 hours to get as many gold bricks out of that vault as you can, how many hours are you going to take for lunch? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see you saying you're not taking lunch, right? I don't blame you. I ain't taking lunch. Most people will say I'm not taking lunch. I'm getting these 8 hours. I'm getting all these gold bricks. You crazy, man. Lunch. I can do that later anytime. We got all that millions of dollars. I can be hanging out, flying around with Beyonce and everybody with billions of dollars. But here's my point. In reality, Teresa, nobody's going to ever do that for you. However, what you do is your gold bricks. When you are sitting there going over and over that math in class, that's a gold brick in your head. Mm-hmm. When you are handling that English in class and that writing, that's a gold brick in your head. When you are obeying your elders who always want the best for you, that's a gold brick in your head. When you're sitting here in Sunday school under the pastors and the Sunday school teachers' tutelage and you're learning the great values in life, that's another gold brick in your head. And everything that you're doing throughout your life and how you're conducting yourself, you're filling your head with those gold bricks. And later on, you'll be able to cash them in different ways. Like right now, I'm up here cashing in gold bricks from all of my life experience and the different things that I can share with you in 30 minutes. I'm up here basically not looking at any notes. But that was from learned over the many years and plowing myself through English books, learning to speak the grammar that's used in America that's, can move you through life. I don't want to say proper grammar, but you still have to speak correctly in order to move through life in America. And all of this Instagram and TikTok and y'all writing all these abbreviations, y'all better learn how to write real sentences, real punctuations, real capitalizations, know what a semicolon does, know what a run-on sentence is, know what a preposition is, know how to conjugate a verb, or you're going to get blocked on your way the ladder to success. Am I right or wrong? Now, much of what I say applies to children and it applies to anybody who's under my ear. But in life, if you're not here after what you're supposed to be here after, you're going to be here after you're supposed to be gone. So Dr. Jones told me this in college. He was my banking class teacher, instructor. He said, Lee Pitts, I see you trying to just ease through college. It was around my sophomore year. He said, you just doing enough to get by. And when I got to college, I was struggling at Talladega College. I had gone to an inferior school back in the 60s, segregated schools, where I told you about that neighborhood, but that's another story. But I was catching up, but I was still trying to be Mr. Cool on campus, trying to be the best dressed, trying to be the cool with the girls and all that. Need to get my books. So he said, Lee Pitts, I got one word for you in my class. If you're not here after, what you supposed to be here after, you're going to be here after you're supposed to be gone. I'm going to flunk your butt. That woke me up. That right there, that little saying woke me up. I wrote it down, and I still use it to this day through life because it's so powerful. So whatever you are doing, it's a way to apply that in your life. Young ladies, young men, apply that. Whatever you're doing, be there, be in the moment, be focused, sit in the front of the class, listen, get your homework done on time, get decent sleep, and help somebody along the way. You might be the smartest, but help that kid who's trying. Amen. Now, we said we would not take a break on the gold bricks. We're going to get all the gold bricks we can. So don't take a break. Promise me, I encourage you, don't take a break. Don't take a break when they come to you, your peer pressure, and try to send you that way. That gold brick knowledge in your head will send you the right way. Don't follow the crowd. As you go up in life, it's going to be less and less and less crowd around you. Okay? Now, everybody here is proud of you. You are graduating. You've been getting all that praise around the neighborhood. Man, my child is graduating from high school. Boy, I'm so proud. Getting that high school diploma. Grandma happy, cousins happy, parents happy, sisters and brothers happy. And I'm happy. I'm thrilled. Now let's go to the next level. Let's raise our standard. When somebody said, at least my child is graduating from high school and they're not on crack. At least my child is graduating from high school and they are not in jail. At least my child is graduating from high school and they never got in trouble stealing and this and that and all these other negative ills. Or my child is graduating from high school and she's not pregnant in high school. I have to say that, get that in. Okay. That's something to be proud of, but the standards are higher. You don't supposed to be on crack. You don't supposed to be in jail. Don't buy into that. You are now going on, at least finishing high school and I'm going on to whatever endeavor you're going in, whether it's college, trade school, or military, going to work. Inventing something, becoming a great scientist, becoming an educator, becoming a banker, becoming a lawyer, becoming an engineer, whatever is ahead of you. If you have your standards as low as I am successful because I didn't end up in jail before I finished high school, or I didn't end up on crack, then your standards are way down there. So let's keep them up here. Let's look at the future. Okay? Now, I encourage everybody to not be a robot. What do I mean by that? People will identify you and put you in a box and say, this is all you can do with your life. I remember a pastor told the story about he had a career going in this direction and he changed careers. A lot of us have great things that we can do. We can do hair, we can cook, we can do things on the computer. We just got all types of skills. Can sing. Never abandon all of the skills that you have, your other skills, just because you got a diploma in a certain area or a degree in a certain area or whatever you specialize in. You can do many multiple things that God has gifted you to do, and you can do multiple things like the little boy did. The little boy, of course, he was a swimmer, then he became a banker, and then he became a TV talk show, all of these things because his mind wasn't limited to just because he went to school and majored in business, that was all he was going to do. So don't be a robot in life. Whatever you do well, you cook well, you make some nice pastries, whatever, be selling those on the side. Sell some lily dilly, some cool cups out the window, out the back door. Keep that revenue coming in, all types of little revenue. You'll be amazed at just using all the skills and gifts that you've been given. How about this? In a plane, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, the alternate interior angles are what? That's geometry. You got that for me, Aubrey? In a plane, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, the alternate interior angles are what? Okay, so we don't have any math teachers in here. Huh? Equal. Who said that? You are a grand prize winner today. Stand up. Who said that? Equal. Go ahead, give her a hand. I love using that because it goes into the depths of our knowledge. And it's always somebody in there, somewhere, who knows the answer. Always in the crowd, no matter where I speak, at Howard University or FAMU or Tuskegee or all these places I've spoken over the years. I don't do much speaking here in Fort Myers, but life has taken me around the world, giving hundreds of speeches in different places. But it's always a person that gets recognized for being smart. And you are smart. Were you a math major or something? You were the teacher? You still a teacher? Okay, you taught math as well? Okay, so you know all of that stuff, so they're equal. Congratulations. See, I followed you forward. You woke up this morning and never knew you would be known for that geometry. You could say equal or congruent, right? Yeah. Let me tell you guys, how did that little boy end up in college? Think about that. You know, we skipped a lot of stuff. We saw the little swimmer boy, and we heard he became a vice president. He went to college and all of that. But there were so many angels. When I look back years later, I wasn't thinking about it then, that changed the course of the life. Let me tell you a story. Teresa, I know you're learning something new about lead pits. I've been seeing that guy walk around here all the time. Never knew that story. Check this out. So when I pastor, the college part, where's the money going to come from? You're poor. You're running to school in the morning for that free breakfast of yellow grits and cheese and stuff. Where about the money? So I used to hear my mom telling my sisters all the time, hey, I don't have any money for you to go to college, but if you go, I'll do my best to help. So my mom had gone to the 7th grade in life, and my dad went to the 3rd grade. I think it's important that you guys know that. And I'm a product of them. Good, basic, country, southern people who wanted the best and taught the best in the household. So there was no fancy educator in the house or anything. Again, my mom went to the 7th grade, no high school diploma, and my dad, 3rd grade. And here I am. So, back to college. So, I had no intentions of going to college because I knew we couldn't afford it. So it never was on my mind. And plus, nobody in the neighborhood where I grew up was going to college. So I was like, okay, if I get out of high school, I remember my mom constantly bragging on how she wanted all her children to finish high school. Well, why does she want all her children to finish high school? Because she never finished high school. That's a big deal. So if I finish high school, I'm going to be successful in her eyes. She never talked about college or anything. That was too far ahead. But you can think a whole nother level ahead. You the next generation. You just get exposure. So anyway, long story short, my goal was to be a lifeguard and work at the pool the rest of my life, but that's only in the summers. So early on, I started realizing, they only work 3 months a year in the cold weather places. It's summer at the pool. Of course, a lifeguard wasn't going to make a lot of money anyway. But that was what I wanted to be in life when I was a little boy. But anyway, so I talked to my buddy, and both of us had decided that we were going to go to the phone company and get a job at the phone company, because we used to call 411 and we could hear that person on the other end flipping through the phone book. Your generation don't know about that. You call for a phone number and they be flipping, you give them the name and you spell it and they look it up and they give you somebody's phone number. And we're like, that's a cool job. You just sit down and look through the phone book. Who would want a lazy job like that? No, I would. So our goal was to work for the phone company. We didn't know how that was going to go and how you work for the phone company. We didn't know you got to do application, you got to be able to handle yourself on the phone and all that. We were just little black high school boys at Carver High. But anyway, I graduated from high school, and I did not know what was going to come next. And I wasn't really upset about it because I wasn't going to college or anything. Didn't know anything about all of that. So I graduated. And then that summer, we decided we were going to go to the phone company to apply for jobs. This is how life is so strange. So I went around to my friend Jay's house in the projects that I had played with all my life. I said, hey, man, it's time for us to go downtown to the phone company and apply for this job as an operator. He said, hey, Ball, that was my nickname. He said, I'm not going to go to work for the phone company. I'm going to college. I'm like, huh? I was standing at the back door. I could see it just like this. I was like 17 years old. He said, I'm going to work for the college. I'm like, college? I'm going to college. I'm like, this dude going to college? When did he never talk to me about that? So he's stabbing me in the back. He's going to college, leaving me here in the projects. But this is how life is. I said, what do you mean you're going to college? He said, hey, man, my sister filled out all my paperwork and this and that, and I'm leaving in about a month to go to Talladega College. And I'm standing on the porch like a knot on a log. But remember, his sister filled out everything for him. I want y'all to keep that in mind as I wrap this up. His sister filled out everything for him. She did it. She was a school teacher. So he was accepted. He showed me the little card with his roommate name on it. And when freshman orientation was going to start in about 2 months faster. And you know, everybody's already into their schools by then. When summer's kicking in, you already know what school you're going to. And I'm standing right there like, whoa. But something inside me, and I have to say it was God, Darlene, that said to me, ask the question. I'm standing there looking at him, my little childhood friend. It was to ask the question, Lee. I'm standing there, and it just, like a ventriloquist, started moving my mouth. And the ventriloquist said, do you think I can get into college? Ask him that. My buddy was standing right there. I said, do you think I can get into college? That was the only out I had after that. He's gone. He's set. And God made me say those words. Changed my life. Because he said, yes. You're the president of the student body at school. Y'all didn't know that. You're on the principal's honor roll every year. Y'all didn't know that. I skipped all of that. You graduated with honors. You got a higher GPA than me. If I got in college, I know you could get in college. And I was like, I didn't see myself like that, Pastor. And even to this day, I don't see myself like that as anything special. I don't even like a lot of attention. But here's the story. So he said, my sister is in the living room. Ask her how to do it. So I went in it. I asked her in my little 17-year-old way. And she said, well, here's a phone number you need to call to the school. And you are too late already because they done already booked up the school to this and that. You're supposed to have been done this months ago. But here's how God works. Here's how angels work. So she gave me the phone number. I went home and made that long distance phone call. Back then, a long distance phone call was a real deal. They can't relate to that these days, but your mama kill you making a long distance phone call. I think it cost you $100 for 2 minutes. I'm glad I got some people here who can remember that. You didn't make a long, now we just do it like it's nothing on sale. So I went in, I made that quick long distance phone call. I got this guy on the phone. I can't remember his name. Let's just say for the sake of discussion, Mr. Brown. He was head of admissions for Talladega College. And he went into the whole thing about, I'm calling too late. The school is full. We can't get you in right now. Blah, 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 blah. You should have been done this a long time ago, blah, blah, blah. I was kind of happy for him to just give me that push off so I did what I was supposed to do, and I can, figure life out from that point on. But he did say, we can get you in after the fall semester, and you could come in after Christmas if we have some more openings. But he didn't know anything about me at the time on the phone. This is how it is. This is how giving somebody something they can work with can change your life. You got to get some gold bricks in your head and give somebody something they can work with. And this is how I ended up in college. And I'm standing up here now acting like I'm somebody. But this is way back then. And I was your age. He said, well, you send me a package, send me an application anyway. So I'm like, okay. So when they gave me the information that goes in applying for college, you got to get recommendation letters, you got to pay an application fee, you got to send your transcript and all of this stuff. So I went lickety-split down to my high school. Summer school was going on, and all the teachers were basically gone. I went to the office, and I went to the front desk, and there was Miss Naves. She was about to become an angel, but she didn't even know it. So I go to Miss Naves, who was at the front counter, and she said, hey, Lee, what you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Because she knew me as a standout student, while I was there. And she said, where are you going to college? I said, Miss Naves, I'm not going. You're not going to college. She was working at the front desk there. She was a substitute teacher. She was working in the principal's office at that long counter. And she goes, I thought you were going to college. I said, no, Ms. Naves, I never applied to college. What? And then I said, well, the guy, I'm going to try to get in now in December, after December. So he said if I send him a package, I might could get in. I don't know nothing about financial aid. I don't know nothing about money. I don't know nothing about anything. She said, well, what do you need to do? I said, well, here's the list. I got to send them $30 for application fee. I got to fill out this application. I need 3 letters of recommendation. I need to send my transcript. She said, transcript costs $20 from the school to send that. I said, da-da-da-da-da-da. So it ended up being $50. I don't have $50. Then you got to get these 3 letters of recommendation from your school teachers. All the school teachers are gone. It's summer. And there's no such thing as Word documents or computers or any of that back then that they can quickly crank out me something on vacation with their cell phone or with their laptop. They hand write this stuff back then. Oh, y'all can't relate to this. So check this out. So Miss Naves got on the phone. She called the principal, Mr. Lowe, and said, hey, guess who's standing up at the front desk at the office? That's the principal. He's on vacation. Said, Lee Pitt's standing up here. He's not even in college. Lee Pitt's not in college. He didn't even apply to college. That Lee Pitt's our student body president. No, he just drifting around here in the projects. Talking about going to college now, this late. Then Mr. Lowe went into angel mode. The principal, he's on vacation. He see me in his head. He see me standing in that office, little 17-year-old Lee Pitt from the project. He went into angel mode. He said, start working. He told her, call these teachers and tell them to write recommendation letters for Lee Pitt. Boom. They write their recommendation. They bring them up to the school. Give him, don't worry about the money. We're going to write a check for him for $50 for his application fee. The school's going to pay for it. We are going to give him, pay for his transcript, the $20. The school's going to pay for it. He goes into angel mode. He didn't have to do that. Next thing you know, I sent everything off. And next thing you know, that same man calls me, and the first thing he says to me on the phone, why didn't you tell me all this? And I'm like, tell him all what? I don't know nothing about nothing. He said, you didn't tell me you were the president of the student body in high school. You didn't tell me you were an honor student. You didn't tell me that you were a member of the mayor's youth council. I just threw that in, I forgot to tell you, because the city of Fort Birmingham had a youth council of 13 students out of the whole city of Birmingham. They picked 13 top students. I was the only black student that they picked that was on the council, and we functioned as a child city council for the mayor and advised him on youth issues, Teresa. You know all that stuff, working city government. I was on that back in 1978. He said, I'm reading all this great stuff about you, man. You're the type of student we want here at Talladega College. We get all kinds of trash applications. And there you are sitting over there, halfway mumbling on the phone, not promoting yourself, not telling us your back. I didn't know all that was important. I didn't know when the principal told me to run for student body president back then, he was probably trying to get me to build my resume up. That was the last thing I wanted to do, is be the president of the student body and have to get up in front of all those kids speaking. And now look at me up here speaking. Because he trained me, go ahead, back then. Right. He saw the future. He said, one of these days you're going to have to speak and you need to get used to it. And of course, he didn't know I was going to be a TV talk show host and all of that one day. But that's how I ended up in college. In the college, because I was low income, they got all those Pell grants and all these different grants. They threw me in a little academic money, and I went, my freshman year, it was tuition 100%, room and board 100%. I was going to college, people. And my parents never finished high school. And then years later, here's what happened. Let's take a look at the TV video. Let's take a look at what happened. I'm wrapping this up. I think somebody's back there ready. They ready? Been married over 30 years, if I'm not mistaken.
38 years.
38 years, and in the ministry together since that time?
That's right.
Yes.
Tell me what you thought about him when you first met him. Let's talk about some more important stuff.
Well, when I first saw him, not met him, but when I first saw him, I decided that he was going to be my husband.
Really?
Yes. Probably in middle school.
Really?
And yes. And of course, he was in high school. He had no idea I existed, but I've always kept my eye on him. Did not know that it was God's will at that time. It was mine. So grateful that it's God's will as well.
What a story. So he was that cute?
Handsome, yes.
Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, when did you start noticing she existed?
After I had gone to Bethune-Cookman, she had grown up in my absence from Immokalee. And when I came home, you know, this little girl, now young adult, and we met, and I saw how beautiful she was, and man, I fell for her.
So she said God knew that you were right for her, and you feel the same way?
Obviously, yes, but we've been together for more than 40 years. We were girlfriend, boyfriend before we were married, at least 6 years. So we've spent basically our entire adult life together.
And you guys bring that wonderful experience as a couple with you as leaders here at St. John's First Missionary Baptist Church. Having that type of bond over all of those years, the ups and the downs, what does that do in terms of your ministry and your ability to counsel people and be a part of the growth of this community?
For me, the experiences, you mentioned ups and downs. I don't really know if I agree with ups and downs, because I look at it from a perspective of God's will and what God is doing in my life. And so for those tough scenarios, even though we work through those, or we know we have to work through those, it always gives me the opportunity to experience God in a way that I would otherwise have not had the opportunity to do so. So I'm not saying that I welcome those difficult times. What I am saying, though, is I look for what God has for me in those times.
Same question, Pastor.
Yes, well, we've learned together. We became believers at the same time.
Yes.
And so from that experience, we began the journey as believers or as Christians together. And so decisions had to be made regarding me. I switched careers. I worked for the state of Florida.
Yes.
And after becoming a believer, I enrolled in Bible college. So I'm at 29, 30 years old, and I switched careers. Go to Bible college for the next 10 plus years. While I'm working, while we're raising a family, and while we're doing ministry. So that was quite a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really it. That type of thing, bringing it to the church, to the ministry, life experiences, human experiences, and everything is not always just, it's interesting when you find out the background of people.
Yes, sir.
You said that you switched careers. Was there some kind of calling that you had along the way?
Yes, we both felt that I had a call to preach the gospel and to begin serving in that capacity. So yeah, that required, based on just who I am as a person, you know, if you're going to preach, you need to know what this is all about. And so that was the driving force, so to speak, in me enrolling in Bible college and seeking to learn what it is I believe God was calling me to do.
Been married over 30 years, if I'm not mistaken.
38 years.
38 years, and in the ministry together since that time?
That's right.
Yes.
All right, give them a hand. Give them a hand. You're great leaders here in the church. Surprise you. So in wrapping all of this up, I want to tie a nice little bow before I leave on how life is. Through there, you guys saw and met, heard about different angels along the way. Even the guy at the college who was Mr. Gruffy, he ended up turning into a nice guy. And then when I arrived on campus, I had my opportunity to apply myself and take advantage of that opportunity and to go beyond what my parents had ever dreamed of. And then there, I was around a lot of people who had good ideas about life, and I started hanging around people who were trying to make something out of themselves, and then I ended up going to get my master's degree. So you guys saw all those 3 careers there, the swimming, the banking, the TV, and all of this. But here's how the beauty of it, and I'm going to tie it together and I'm going to be done. If the little boy never goes and gets the bottles, he never becomes a renowned swimming instructor in the future. Stay with this. And as a result of becoming a renowned swimming instructor, before then he goes to college and he's thinking about how to create his own business and come up with ways, even back then, to make money. He's thinking. You know, he was always a little hustler. It was always in his head. So then, while a pretty popular swimming instructor, he would be getting interviewed on all of these TV shows. He was already a banker, and he was a swimming instructor taught swimming in a lot of different places, but I'm most known for here at the Stars Complex. And all those years I taught over there for absolutely free. 10 years I volunteered over there and taught those kids free. That goes to giving back. You never know what's. And then I just met so many wonderful people along the way, parents and children, a lot of them grown up and done very well. Even Shari Armstrong, the news anchor, when she was a little girl in my swimming program, she was like 7 years old, one of my best swimmers. Every time I bump into her, I call her swimmer. She's like, "Oh, Lee, remember you taught me when I was a little girl." It's a lot of success comes from that. So he gets the soda bottles. Of course, when he gets the soda bottles, he knows that's going to help him become a renowned swimming instructor. Of course not. Then he become interviewed on all these TV shows all the time. Y'all just saw that. And then as a result of being in a television station all the time, being interviewed about swimming, something as simple as swimming, the general manager at the television station approached the boy years later and say, "Hey, would you be interested in hosting a TV talk show? Looking for bottles, become well known, become popular as a little swimmer from watching Flipper, start getting known. People start wanting to interview him for teaching kids to swim. They thought that was a big deal, but it really wasn't a big deal. You're supposed to help your community." And the next thing you know, people point cameras in his face, and then people hearing him talking on television. You remember back in the 90s, you used to see me on TV all the time talking swimming, Teresa and Darlene. And They offered me a television talk show. There are people who go to school for that, work hard to be on television, want to be reporters. I was just a banker and a swim teacher. And I kept telling them, no, I did not want to be a TV talk show host. I don't want to do that. This was around 1991. That guy kept calling me, white guy kept calling me. Hey, we want to build this TV show around you. You could host the show. I'm like, host the show? I know nothing about this stuff. But that's the interesting thing about black people. We learn stuff. We shade tree. We figure stuff out. We have our own recipes, everything. You just show us and we'll look and we'll learn something. That's the way we got to always be. So I just started watching people on television before I accepted it. When he called me for about 5 months and I kept turning him down, but eventually I accepted it because he said this to me. He said, Lee, I want my television station to be the first one to have a black person hosting a TV show. No, we're way behind here in Fort Myers. And I'm not going to have anybody to host that show except for you. I just believe you can do it. Because you came from all walks of life. You're a bank vice president. You grew up in poverty. You can relate to people of all ages. You're a swimming instructor. You're in the neighborhood. And you're a relatively intelligent, educated man. And I believe you can do it. And so when he told me that, I told my mom about it. I said, this man keeps calling me about doing television. I'm too busy with my bank job and my swimming stuff, and I have no interest in that. She said, go ahead and do it. What you got to lose? So I went ahead and I did it, and here it is, 34 years later. And all of that other stuff that the pastor said, and none of that happens. Not one drop of that happens if the little boy, that one moment when mom said, if you can pay your own way to go swimming, you can go. If he just went on upstairs and watched some cartoons and that moment went by that day and he never knew what the future would hold for him because it started opening up all types of doors. So the moral of this story is to believe in yourself. Don't always know what's behind the door, but keep on working. Keep on trying to do the right thing. And I'm going to wrap this up. I'd like all my college graduates, high school graduates to please stand. I speak at so many colleges I get it mixed up. Y'all four stand for me and repeat after me. Repeat after me, loud and clear. I believe in St. John's. I believe in the principles that I've learned. And I will safeguard its reputation with the best in conduct, the best in academic achievement, and always keep God first. I will help somebody. I don't know what's around the corner for me, but God has already pathed it out for me. I just got to apply myself. Okay, I believe in you guys. Congratulations, and I wish you all the best. Make me proud. Have a seat. At this time, I've wrapped it up. I want to take a question or two before I leave. Somebody make me feel important. Ask me one question. Ask me a question. Oh, you got a question for me? How about you? Anything I said, you got a question for me? Don't be shy. Go ahead, my friend. When I first became a host, what was that like? Okay, that's a good question. So it was 1991. I was 29 years old. I had no idea what I was getting into, really. I did not realize that Fort Myers had never had a black person on television hosting a show or anything. And so when I walked in that first day, that was when it was live on TV, live. I had all the life experiences that I had from the principal having me speak and going through leadership things in life. It had prepared me for that. So my first guest on the show, I was doing an interview. And I said, I'm going to go in here and act like I do this every day. So they mic'd me up. I sat down, and right across from me was Eddie Knight. He had a grocery store up the street here on ML King. Y'all remember Knight's Grocery? And that was my first interview. Eddie Knight. Is Eddie still around? Okay. So I interviewed Eddie Knight, and we talked about soul food and everything. They had never seen anything like that on TV, where two people talking about soul food in the neighborhood. And then Lovey Wells came second, and I was off and running. And then the community started watching it on TV, and they started loving it. And then I have a waiting list all the time, about 3 months of people want to get on the show these days. Back then we aired twice a week. Now we air 7 days a week. But that was that first day was like. And I figured I'd be on TV for about a year and it'd get canceled. But now it's 34 years later. I'm still doing this. Go ahead, my friend.
You explained about in the beginning, you had no intention of going to college, and you shared with us how it came about. My question is, do you get to tell us how you felt when you got to Tennessee and you saw all those young black people right there in one place at the same time? Something you never seen before. It's a new experience, just like college spirit. I like to hear you say what you thought when your mom got you.
Man, I'm so happy you asked that question. You talk like you had that day one day. Okay, so I went to a black college, Talladega College, HBCU. I didn't know what a black college was back then. I just knew they had some good-looking girls. I saw the little brochure my friend showed me. I'm like, maybe I can go there and get a girlfriend. So that first day we had orientation. They had it in what's called the chapel on campus. So we all go into the chapel. It's about, I don't know, about 400 freshmen. We go into orientation. It's like this. And all the students in there were black. And they were from all parts of the world. And there I was sitting in there with them, and boy, when they started talking, I will never forget this day when they started talking, like when the orientation instructors were up there and they would ask questions. The students would stand up and ask different things about college. We were all freshmen, 18, 19 years old. And back where I had come from school, I was pretty big stuff in terms of president of the student body and all of that. But basically everybody in there was somebody big time from their high school. And the thing that I noticed that was really different about them when they were standing up talking, that we all look alike, but when they stand up and talk, I started listening. I'm like, man, they can speak that English. Because I had come from an environment where you don't speak like that back then. And that was what scared me. Like, I'm like, oh, all these smart black kids, boy, they speak really good. You know, many of them probably had educators in their families, or they went to suburban schools, or they just grew up in an environment, different environments people come from, where the kids are taught to, you know, speak correctly and present themselves. So that was what really got me, and I just said, oh, okay, so we all look alike, but we all not the same, because different people got different things in their brains. Like, we all here might look alike, or you go down the street, everybody look alike, but everybody's not the same. This is what the difference is. Yes, ma'am. Did I take a course? No. And you know what? That is a wonderful question. I never, ever took a course in journalism. I never had any training ever in television. Of course, I got like hundreds of awards. Pastor mentioned a few, but over the years, and a whole lot of praise for being a pretty good television talk show host. And I never took a course, never had any television training, anything. I just sat there and watched Don Cornelius on Soul Train. That was my idol with the fro. The young generation don't know about that, people. I watched Donnie Simpson on Video Soul on BET. Watching what he was doing. And then in the mornings when I got up, every morning I turned the TV on the NBC back in the 90s, and I would watch Bryant Gumbel, the great interviewer. And I just took that and learned it. And the next thing you know, ma'am, never took a course. And I've gone to different conferences, and I'm teaching those people who do that for a living, I'm teaching them how to do it, and I never even took a course in it. I'm just street knowledge from the hood. So thanks for that question. Well, I hope I didn't keep you too long, and I hope that we all enjoyed today. And I want to have everybody stand up so we can say this last thing that I always end my presentations with. Please stand up for a minute. Remember this and repeat after me. No matter where life may lead you, the trail to success will always be paved. You just have to recognize it and take that trail. You will never know what's at the end of the trail. But if you help somebody, it will come back to you in many ways. God has all the answers, but you still have to work. I love my community. I love my church. Amen. Thank you.